Hey guys, welcome back to 5 Minutes with the Technician. My name's Daniel. So today we're going to talk about K600 maintenance. First thing I'm going to recommend is that you go to sasousa.freshdesk.com. Okay? On there you have the maintenance manual or schedule. I don't know if you can see that or not. But this walks you through exactly what we're going to talk about today. And if you want to keep your machine running good, you should probably take care of it. It takes care of you. Take care of it. So, first thing, daily. This is daily, okay? The one that's neglected the absolute most is greasing your spindle threads. So when you take this brass nut off, you should be applying some lubricant there. Okay, we recommend to use like anti-seize or red and tacky, which also has anti-seize in it. Anti-seize, like the copper stuff, is a little bit thinner, seems to work a little bit better on that brass nut. But if this is all you have, or even white lithium grease, dude, something's better than nothing. So put some lubricant on your spindle threads. You should be doing this daily. All right, so moving down the list, measuring tools. Yeah, most shops measure their tools once a day. Depends how much you cut. Clean the working area. We don't need to talk about that. You should be keeping it clean, for real. All right, weekly, air filters. Believe it or not, there are air filters on your machine. Let's walk and I'll show you where they're at. So the first one, the most neglected, well, not the most neglected, but the third most or second most is this little guy here. So I don't know if you saw how I took that off, but this is a little snap. Okay, it just snaps on and just kind of peel it off. Boom. Take that guy and clean it out. You should actually, what I typically like to do is I kind of hold it like that and spray it with some air, lightly, very lightly. This is pretty thin, you'll blow it out. All right, so, get rid of the dust. All right, we'll put that back on and I'll show you the rest of it. There's two more. Okay, so let's go over here. So you actually have air filters on your electrical cabinet. So when you go to clean these out, you should really be opening these doors up and spraying them with an air hose outward. Do not push dust into your electrical cabinet. So you have one here on the top. You also have one down below. Okay, this is an XL, so the cabinet's a little bit bigger, but all machines have two. They all have two. So open up the doors and spray them out. In the summertime, your machine will thank you. If you're getting random emergencies due to heat, it's because your air filters aren't clean. All right, so beyond that, let's go to the front of the machine here. So on here, it says bi-weekly, okay? So bi-weekly, you should be inspecting your gear tracks, okay? That might be a little excessive, but that's what we've recommended as a manufacturer. So to do that, to inspect your gear tracks, come up here. These just slide up, so you can pull it and then slide it up. I'm gonna do this side though. I'm gonna pull it and I'm gonna slide it backwards. So if we look at this gear track here, it actually doesn't look too bad. If you wanted to clean it off, get yourself something similar to like a tub of towels or mineral spirits on a rag or whatever, you know, like I kind of cheat and I just use this. That's fine, you know, whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat. So clean off these rails. These are where your bearings ride up and down all day long. This is not the worst I've seen. This machine's only about a year old. So if your machine's like 5 years old, imagine, it's probably not great, to be honest. Trust me, I do a lot of the services, and this is never cleaned on some people's machines, and it's horrible. You could do the sides of this. You could really go kind of ham and clean all this off. Just make sure, like after you clean all this stuff off, to reapply some grease. Okay, so take your red and tacky, you know, put it on your gear tracks. For me, I just take the whole tube and I just kind of squirt it out a little bit and just dab it all the way down the track. You know, boom, just like that. And I would do that front, back, you know, the whole thing. You don't really need to do this bi-weekly. This would be like a once a year kind of thing, is when you're actually cleaning and reapplying. But you should be kind of like inspecting you know, for sure. For the linear bearing tracks, so these ones here that we just cleaned off, we're going to use white lithium grease. That's a spray. We're going to use that, and we're just going to give it a squirt. Boom. There we go. Ready to go. Another year. If you did the whole thing, that is. So, you should be doing this bi-weekly, not completely greasing the machine, but you should be giving it a little bit of an inspection. Because, to be honest, people neglect their machines like you wouldn't believe. You know, realistically, it's your best employee. It shows up every day when your best employees don't. So, you should be taking care of it a little bit. Let's do the center section. I'm going to do it over here. I don't want to walk on this slab. So, for this one, for the big guy here, grab it in the back, actually. So grab it back here, lift up, and then pull towards you. Okay? Grab it, pull towards you. Okay? So same deal, you would clean your rails off here, and you would clean off your gear track up above. This one does have some grease on it, not a ton, but it does have some. So pull these back, clean it off, reapply some grease. You should be doing this once a year. You should be pulling these back every couple weeks and making sure everything is going good. So that's pretty much it for those inspections. Let's move to the next one on the list here. Okay, monthly. This is monthly, okay? I guarantee you no one's doing this monthly, but you should, okay? You absolutely should. This is neglected all the time. You should be taking this white cover off of this machine, okay? There's some Allen bolts on the sides. Take them out, pop this sucker off. What's going on underneath is there's a ball screw that goes all the way up to the top. Okay, this thing's going up and down all day long. And to be honest, it could use some more grease. Your machine does have automatic grease canisters that are supposed to be giving the machine grease throughout the year. You know, there's nothing like applying grease manually by hand. You know, you will do the best job if you do it by hand. So you should be taking this off. You should be cleaning the Z-axis ball screw off and reapplying grease. I don't know if you necessarily need to do that monthly. To be honest, I would say like every 6 months would be sufficient. But if we're sticking to the schedule, you should do it monthly. So let's go to the next one here. All right, so while you have the white cover off, it says lubricate the Z-axis. Do not neglect your Z-axis ball screw. That's in all caps, by the way. Inspect the C-axis belt while you have that off. So underneath this, there's actually a belt. This whole head rotates on a belt. If you have that white cover off, visually inspect it for wear. Just like anything, at some point, it will fail. You know, could be 5 years. You know, like honestly, they don't fail very often, like almost ever. I've only replaced one. I've been with Sassa for almost 5 years. So they don't really fail that often. But you should be looking at it. Okay, so your next one is grease the Y-axis carrier bearings. This machine is not, it doesn't actually have those bearings. But I'll show you on a regular K600 where your zerk fittings would be at. So typically you'll have a zerk fitting here on the right-hand side and then on the very far left-hand side on a regular K600. On an XL, it actually doesn't have those because it's greased in a different way. So let's move on. Let's go to the front here. The one that I'm missing that should be bi-weekly. I'm sorry, I totally forgot about this one. It's one of the very important ones, honestly, and I've said that a lot, but this one actually will probably, make some noise if you don't give it some grease. So you have zerk fittings on the side of your table. This machine has 3 on this right-hand side. It also has 3 on the left-hand side. So you got 6 zerk fittings on this bad boy. And I'll be honest, not to insult my camera guy here, but they look a little dry. You should be giving them some grease. And it's not a matter of giving it too much, because honestly, there's no seal on this. You could grease the hell out of it, and it's fine. You'll get grease on the floor, but that's okay. What happens over time is this table will be coming up, and it'll just be like, and it'll be going down, and it'll be like, ah. It's the same thing. It needs grease. Don't call me because your table's making noise, because right now I just told you, you should be greasing your table, both sides. If you have a regular K600, it's only on the right-hand side. I want to say there's 2 or 3, I can't remember offhand. But an XL or an Extreme, you're gonna have 6. Okay, grease those like crazy. So annually you should actually be inspecting the squareness of your head. Okay, so we have C-axis tram videos, we have A-axis tram videos, and procedures on how to square up the head on your machine. So get yourself a dial indicator, square this puppy up. Watch my other videos on C-axis and A-axis tram. I'll walk you through exactly how to do that as well. But you should be doing this once a year. But if your parts aren't coming out square up your head. All right, feel free to pretty much hose most of everything down. If you're going to thoroughly clean your black bellows, we recommend Armor All. Armor All, I've heard, works pretty well if you want to clean up those off. In the meantime, if you're spraying the entire machine off, the one thing that people spray off that you shouldn't is this little Y-axis sensor right here. So this little guy actually likes to fill up with water. Come on to the back side here, and you'll see this thing will fill plump full of water. And when that happens, your machine does some really bizarre things. Try not to spray that with water. It happens all the time. You would be really surprised. It's not an expensive part, but your machine will just do some really strange things. All right, so your machine has automatic grease canisters, right? So you have 4 on every machine. There's 4. They should be replaced once a year, okay? And actually, I've got some right here. I'll show you. So these are the grease canisters. When you set these up, they have a little dial on the top of them. You should be setting these to like 6. That's a pretty healthy number. That's the number of months that they're going to last, or that you want them to last. I say 6 because some of the tolerances on this machine are so tight that 6 will barely make it to a year. So like crank it up to 6. You can do 12, but honestly, I just don't think it's enough grease. So you have 4. Let me show you where they're at. So you have 1 on the right-hand side, right up here. That should be replaced once a year. Okay. Then you have 2 up on the head of the machine. These are a little more difficult to see, especially, let me move this machine over and to the front a little bit here. And let's go back. So you got 1 here, and then you got 1 over here on the left-hand side. I don't know if you can see it. They're kind of tucked back here. When you go to replace these, just remember, set them to like 6 months. 12 is just, there's just not enough grease, honestly, getting in there. And the last one is on the left-hand side. So it's on the left-hand side here. So you've got 4, replace all 4 at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. Like this one actually has like, I don't know, 3/4 left. We're gonna replace them all. There's no reason to leave them because they are just like filled with air. If that bleeds out, that's pretty much it. So you will get the alarm, please check grease level after replacement. Okay, this is kind of like your sign, if you will. This is like the machine telling you once a year, check your grease levels. It's a good thing. Don't get freaked out, but you need to change all of those once a year. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys. I know this was a long video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day. Peace.